As we creep ever closer to the next generation of consoles, yes, people, it is actually happening. We are starting to see more and more games come out, more and more developers come out as they are saying they are actually working on the next generation of games for those consoles, because obviously new consoles need new games, and you need something to show off and make the consoles worth actually owning in that particular case and instance. So what we see now is developers stepping up, talking about how many are actually working on next-gen games, and it's actually a surprising amount considering, well, it depends on how you look at it, really, because if you think about us getting consoles in 2020, it might not seem that far off, right? But holiday 2020 is actually almost 2 years away. So according to this, 16% of game developers are working on next-gen titles. Only 2% are working on next-gen exclusively. So the next generation of consoles very likely coming PS5, Xbox, Scarlet, or Anaconda, whatever you want to call it, 2020, while a lot of these games that are going to be coming out are going to be 2021 releases. So you have to pretty much assume that developers are already working on games for this. It makes sense. And a recent report on the current state of games industry by the GDC, that seems to be actually the case, and I can link this article so you guys can check it out as well. Based on the sample size of 4,000 for the research in question, 16% of all game developers currently in the industry are making games for next generation hardware right now, which seems to mean that dev kits are out there. They're out in the wild. They're out there. They're out in the wild doing something special, and I think that that's very, very important. Then, you know, I think that that would be something that a lot of people would probably not think is happening yet, but hey, it's happening. There's obviously some type of dev kits or spec that is out there that these devs are shooting for, right? So they have some kind of spec in line with what they're going to be aiming at. So this is very interesting news anyway. You know, it's very interesting to me anyway. The most interesting part is that the people working on games made exclusively for next generation system is very smaller. The 16% quote is taken into consideration developers that are working on next gen games exclusively, as well as those working on games that are cross gen, with only 2% of total developers belonging in the former. 37% of developers say that they don't concretely know at this time what system their games are going to be out on even, while the remaining 46% are working exclusively on current gen titles. So that's a huge number. We can probably assume that a large portion of the 2% devs working exclusively are first party studios from Microsoft and Sony. As an example, we know that Playground Games are working on an unannounced title that is a ways off yet, while it may also be a stretch to assume that Sony Santa Monica, Insomniac, who are technically second party for Sony, is working on a Spider-Man sequel, and Guerrilla Games are also working on PS5 titles. Meanwhile, Sony's newly set up and currently not official studio in San Diego also has something in the work. Bethesda's duo of upcoming RPGs, The Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield, also belong in the category of next-gen titles, though there's a chance that Starfield ends up being cross-gen. Other third-party games from Square Enix currently worked on with next-gen projects. EA Dragon Age 4 is a ways off as well. There's also games like Death Stranding and Halo Infinite, which do not currently have release dates, that are going to end up being next-gen titles as well. So we have a ton of information here, and like I said, I'm going to link this. Very interesting. This would tell me that next gen is definitely 2020 at the earliest, and 2021 wouldn't be out of the question. So let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell. Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.